Hello there. I'm so excited, to come your way once again. As we do all the time on the Inside View, we are here educating people, empowering people, and also keeping people informed on important topics. And today is no exception. We've all heard of the new immigration rules. Trust me, I spent time reading through these laws and I just couldn't make any sense out of it. And thank God we have solicitors, we have barristers, and we have lawyers who can interpret, these laws for us to understand. And this afternoon, I have with me an amazing solicitor who has been, I would say, he's got over 2 decades of experience, and I'm so proud to have him on the show to explain these laws, for us to, be informed about these new immigration rules. And also just to be aware, I would say that, like in Northern, I'm not for anybody wanting to maybe change or maybe renew or, like anything concerning immigration, like you wouldn't found like I would say, wanting. So I have with me Mr. Ese Adams-Aliu. He's the principal solicitor of Aequus Solicitors in Wolverhampton, UK. I'm going to leave his number, his contact details, everything, his email address, and everything, so that in case you need help in this area, Mr. Adams, you'll be so happy to help you. Mr. Adams, welcome to the Inside View. Yes, welcome to the Inside
Hello?
View. Yeah, hello. Welcome to the Inside
Hello?
View. Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello?
Hello, yeah, we can hear you.
Yes. Hello, Nana. Good afternoon. Good afternoon,
Hi,
girls.
good afternoon. Yeah, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Amazing. Yeah, I'm good. I can't complain.
Yeah.
I can't complain.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know you to be a solicitor.
Yeah.
So apart from that, what can we know about you?
Okay. Good.
This afternoon? Yeah.
First of all, I'd like to thank you, Nana, for having me here. By the way of a short bio, my name is Ese Adams-Aliu. I'm a solicitor currently practicing in the United Kingdom. Um, I'm located in the Midlands. My areas of specialty are mainly family and immigration law, amongst others. But before that, I'm a human being. I'm an immigrant myself. Uh, Immigrant born and raised in Nigeria. Came here about nearing 2 decades now. Nearing 2 decades, I found myself remaining back to contribute my own quota to the development of the society here. I am married with 3 children.
Good. Wow. And please, if anybody wants to join in, with us, kindly join us already. We are live on Facebook and on YouTube. So if anybody wants to join in, kindly look for the Inside View with Nana on Facebook and also on YouTube. Yes, you can also Google me, the Inside View with Nana, and it will bring you live on Facebook and also on YouTube as well. Mr. Adams,
Yeah.
we know you to be a family and also an immigration solicitor.
Yeah.
Many times we don't know what, like apart from immigration, we don't know what exactly people do apart from just the title. So if you can just educate us on what a family and immigration lawyer does.
Okay, it's a good question, Nana, and I think it's relevant. It's even more relevant because before practicing in the UK here, I practiced in Nigeria. Now, what happens in the United Kingdom is that either by practice or by what I'll call happenstance, solicitors tend to specialize in specific fields of law. So what I mean is this, for instance, as opposed to other countries where if you are a lawyer for everything. In the United Kingdom, you find out that as your practice carries on, and for instance, now my practice, you have some certain what we call practice areas.
Mhm.
I have about 6 practice areas, and I encourage the viewers to look at the website to look at them. But over the years, and that's what I was talking about by it can be I call it happenstance or circumstances. Over the years, I've realized that two fields are my main practice areas that they bring more of the work to me, and that is family and immigration law.
Mhm.
Um, Immigration law to me is, is like my second skin, if you like, is what I started out with. It's something that is so interesting and so vital to my being because after coming here to do a master's in law, I qualified to become a solicitor here. And my thinking then and my thinking now was how best do I advise, counsel, and support people of my background who were not originally from here to remain in the country legally.
Mhm.
I found out that so many people from a background similar to mine did not have proper documentation, mostly due to lack of information, to be honest. And so, part of the reasons why I set up my practice is to be that empathic lawyer, not just a lawyer, but that lawyer who can listen. And I suppose when you look at it from the prism of immigration law, it's something I have lived as well. So
Mhm.
when clients come to me with one issue or the other, I see it through their eyes and I can be empathic. I'm not just the documentary lawyer who reads statutes and interprets it in a way best favorable to his client. I've lived immigration law, and by virtue of the fact that I'm still in the United Kingdom, I still live it. So that's um, that's why our bias is largely on immigration law. Not everything, but half or thereabouts of what we do is on immigration law. Now, the family angle in the last 5 years, we've seen our family portfolio rise. That is, um, in terms of a business, you could say, yes, that's more work, but unfortunately, it does stem from family disharmony. Um, so, unfortunately, when that occurs, because it's not a matter of if anymore, it happens every day in society. You need people who have your interests and who are able to steer you in the right direction because in such occasions you are not in the best frame of mind.
Yeah.
You don't know what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and that is where people like myself come in to let you know what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. And we are also empathic as well because we know that at the end of the day, you're a human being.
Wow. Wow. Because we have most of us. Sometimes you get into that situation, not knowing what to do, who to contact, because the laws are so complex, and sometimes the interpretation itself. If you're not educated in that field, you can't make any sense out of it. So today, I am so happy that you are here to make sense out of these complex. Yes, I'm being honest. I tried to read this whole thing, and I'm thinking, boy, this is not for me. Yeah, yeah. This afternoon we are just going straight
Oh,
into this new laws.
yeah.
Why do we have these laws? changing every year?
mm, mm.
Why?
It's a good question, Nana, because the speed with which the immigration rules change in the United Kingdom are so rapid that if you don't if you don't keep a tab on it, you might wake up next morning to find a new set of
Yeah.
laws. I know I'm being hyperbolic and probably just cracking a joke there, but that is in a way in a way true. Why do the laws change regularly? I suppose before I answer that question, I'll pose one and try and answer it. Why do we have immigration laws? The United Kingdom, the Home Office, embassies, all over the world coming into the UK, they'll tell you that the aim of immigration laws is border control to enforce border control to make sure that those who are not meant to come into the country do not come into the country. So that in itself is a lofty ideal. I think any country would want to keep an eye on its borders to make sure that those who have no business here don't find their way here.
Okay.
Now, why do they change regularly? I think, and this is me being a social scientist now, I think what has happened in the last, you talk about the conflicts in certain parts of the world at different times. For instance, one that readily comes to mind is the one in Ukraine now. There have been ones before Libya, Syria, parts of Africa. You talk about poverty,
Yeah.
which leads to economic migration. And you talk about people wanting something different, feeling that what they have, wherever they are, is not what ought to be, and thinking that they they moving somewhere, either alone or with their families, will put them in better stead to enjoy life or to be happy or satisfied.
Mm.
Now, that is why immigration occurs. Now, so what happens is that because the world is evolving, and I mean, since I started practicing law in this country and since I came into this country, there has been a steady increase of people who want to come into this country. And so, what the relevant authorities have done and are doing is that as society changes, as migrants wish to cross into the United Kingdom or wish to come into the United Kingdom, they are evolving, adapting, or modifying existent laws to reflect the realities of the current time. So that is why it changes. I don't know why it changes so often, but I guess that's the thinking behind it changing.
Wow. Do you know what? If anybody's watching us, we all know what's going on currently now. If you have any concerning questions, it might not be for you, but it might be for a loved one, a family member, maybe your daughter who wasn't born here, or maybe your son. So this topic really affects all of us and our age. Everyone. I would say watching us live, to
Mm,
please share this discussion. We want this to go far because it's not that easy to have solicitors availing themselves, on such, I would say, platforms. So
mm,
to have Mr. Ese Adams, on this busy Saturday, to come and educate us. I want all of us to make the most out of it. So I'm pleading with everybody to share this discussion. We want this discussion to go far. We want to educate as many people as possible. please. All right, thank you. Mr. Adams, now let's go into this Keystone
Yeah,
new rules. You are the
yeah,
expert. I
yeah.
want you to take us through.
Okay,
I mean, and why, especially this year, it
yeah.
was fought, with so much,
Oh, yeah,
from the all corridors of powers.
yeah,
I don't know why, but that it kept, forth. I'll say, like back and forth.
yeah.
I don't know why, but I mean, you take us through, since you are
Okay,
the expert, please. Yeah.
okay. Thank you, Nana. Thank you. I mean, again, you sort of going back a bit to what I said a few minutes back. Societal happenings or things going on around in the world have meant that the Home Office feel that they should revise immigration rules
Hmm.
regularly. Now, the latest revision throws forth a lot of amendments. I doubt whether we can we can capture all in one sitting. And for the purpose of this program, I've keyed in on 5 or 6 amendments. There are many more, and these amendments take effect from March, April to July, August this year. Um, top on the, I mean, when you to ask, when the question was, why did this round of amendments become such a heated topic?
Yeah.
Why did it become so topical? So, related to your question, I will have to delve into one of the amendments to be able to
Good.
answer it.
Yeah.
So, before doing that, I need to go into a bit of background. There's the case of a lady popularly known as the ISIS bride. We are aware that these days there's an increasing war
Yeah.
on terror being waged in different corners of the globe. The United Kingdom is no exception, and there is a lady known as Shamaima Begum, British citizen born in the UK here, who left the United Kingdom when she was 15 to join the armed a terrorist movement known as ISIS. She crossed the United Kingdom borders and, you know, took part in that war. Now, after some time, for one reason or the other, she decided that she wants to come back to United Kingdom because for her, I mean, she's British, she was born here, and she should be able to come to the United Kingdom. Now, the United Kingdom government said that she cannot come into the country, that she has left the country, she has joined a band of terrorists, and she has waged war on the country. And that even though she was born British, they are depriving her of her British citizenship or nationality. Now, in the past few years, easily 3 to 4 years now, um, a war, if you can call it that, has been waged in the courts in this regard, with different courts, with it going through courts from the lower courts down to the Court of Appeal and eventually to the Supreme Court, which ruled that the United Kingdom can, in some instances, remove citizenship from those who have been born here. It can strip its citizens off their British passports and off their nationality, especially in matters border on public interest and security. And when you look at the immigration rules, you look at Section 3225, which talks about character and associations.
Hmm.
And so the United Kingdom was able to mount a successful legal challenge through all the courts, and the Supreme Court has ruled that the United Kingdom, the government was right in doing that. But of course, in all these sides, they say there are 2 sides to a coin. And so, yes, that was the side of the United Kingdom government. That still is their side till tomorrow. That she left the UK, she joined a band of terrorists, and should not be allowed to come back into the country. Now, on our own side, Ms. Begum says, "Oh, I was misled out of the UK. I was deceived. I didn't know that was how it was. I was a minor." But you know that has not been upheld by the courts. And interestingly, I think I should just go down that route now since we're on this topic. Interestingly, one of the amendments, expectedly, because when this whole thing started, the it was still very debatable whether this could be done or not. So this was part of the reasons I believe why the law was amended, the immigration rules were amended. Now, the current situation of the immigration rules now, particularly with regard to the Nationality and Borders Bill, is that the United Kingdom government, for reasons of national interest and national security, can not only remove its citizenship from the British national, it can do that retrospectively. So yes, and that's what bothers some of us who are immigration lawyers, because in your first year in law, you are told that laws are not meant to be retroactive. A law is meant to be made, if for instance I make a law, it's meant to take effect from today, this minute. But where you now make a law and it's from yesterday or from 1990, that's what becomes worrisome. But unfortunately, that is the position of the law as it stands now on deprivation of citizenship. The United Kingdom government can take away your British passport retroactively, for whatever you are perceived to have done last year, last 10 years, last minute. And interestingly, there is no incumbency on them to relay the reason for this to you. It can be done through moto just by themselves. And should you find yourself challenging this in court, you may likely not succeed because there is now a piece of legislation that gives backing in this regard. And of course, we know that the judiciary interprets laws of parliament. The judiciary does not make laws on its own. So that is a very key amendment in this year's immigration rules as they've been enacted.
Okay, I'm sorry to interject. I mean, if I am getting everything you're saying right to
Mm.
this point, it means whether you were a British citizen, as by naturalization, now your British citizenship can be revoked, like retrospectively. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Oh
Absolutely.
wow! Anybody watching, please invite. I know our people. Once we get our book, we think this discussion is not for us.
Yeah.
But today we are being told that whether you are a British citizenship, holder, whether you've got your red book or blue book, it can be revoked retrospectively. I mean, and you cannot challenge this in any courts. Wow.
You cannot successfully challenge it now,
Wow.
as it stands, yes.
As it stands.
As it stands.
So it means nobody's safe
For now. Well,
in
that's
courts.
what we're looking at. Yes, yes, yes. The UK, and that's where it was a robust debate because Parliament here has two houses, the Commons and the Lords, and it went through the different passages of the bill as it then was through the House of Commons before the Lords okayed it, and you saw even peers in the House of Lords who were of foreign heritage, standing up to say, if this law is passed, it means that someone like me, I can be, a British passport can be, my British passport can be taken from me at any time. And, the response of the authorities was, well, if you don't do anything wrong, it will not happen to you. And that is their response till now. So it's for me as a lawyer, it's not ideal. It's part of the attractiveness of the law is that whatever action is taken against you or indeed for you can or ought to be able to be challenged. And to tell me as a lawyer that an action is basically a slam dunk, as they say, cannot be challenged, um, just feels not just morally wrong, but for me, it's legally reprehensible. Each law, each regulation, each policy should be able to be challenged in courts. But in this matter, the hands of the court are tied because, of course, they have a legislation before them that tells them what should be, and they cannot um, detract from the letters of that legislation.
Okay. Very, very worrying.
Mm.
Very worrying. So, just like I said, I would just want you to lead this discussion. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Okay. So we started from that because the Shamima Begum case is so topical,
Yeah.
and it remains topical to today. Unfortunately, the young lady is still outside the country. No one knows if or when she will be allowed back into the country. So, like I said, for the sake of brevity, I have picked up about four other pieces of amendments to the UK immigration law as it stands. And I'd like to now focus on asylum seekers
Yeah.
and their right to work or not. So, hitherto, before this latest amendment, asylum seekers would apply for asylum, and I suppose before going to asylum, people apply for asylum and they still apply for asylum because they are fearful of where they are. That might be because of a war
Mhm.
or a political upheaval where they are, or they may be targeted in the countries where they are, and they feel the need, they feel scared really of life and limb, and feel the need to leave that country where they are to, in this case, the United Kingdom. And that process is called asylum. And traditionally, asylum applicants have not been allowed to work. So an asylum applicant will apply for asylum, will attend an asylum interview, will wait for the authorities to treat his or her claim, which in some instances can run into years. During that time, the asylum applicant will be given a stipend of a certain sum every week, every month.
Okay.
A number of the applicants will be given accommodation, but they will not be allowed to work. In this latest round of amendments to the immigration rules in the UK this year, um, there is the new amendment that says that an asylum applicant that has had his or application looked at for more than 6 months without a response should be given the right to work. And this is actually a positive. It's not all the time that I praise the immigration authorities in the United Kingdom, but I think it's a positive because, from my own experience, a lot of my clients who are on the asylum routes suffer because they have family to look after,
Yeah.
they have needs, they are given a specific sum of money every week. And that sum of money is not really enough for them, to be honest. And apart from that sum of money being given to them, they are not occupied. They are sort of just idling away. But now, with this new amendment, um, if their claim goes on for more than 6 months, and in my experience, it does go on for more than 6 months, unless there's a radical change. In fact, it goes into years. Then, such an applicant can go and look for work. And I suppose it's a positive not just for them, but it's also a positive for the UK government as well, because they will become occupied and they will be contributing their quota to the society. And so that's that's something new, and I think that's a good thing from where I stand. Also, another development I would like us to talk about is again another topical issue. I don't know if Nana and some of the viewers can recall past few months there have been discussions about people being removed to Rwanda,
Yeah.
asylum seekers, and again let's go a bit of background, a bit of history. We are all witnesses to the different crossings, attempted and actual crossings by people from different parts of the world through the British Channel, trying to get into the United Kingdom. Not just crossings by boats, there are people who go through lorries and through Calais, France, and different places, all in a bid to come to the United Kingdom. Now, what I think the United Kingdom has tried to do with this issue of safe third states, which I'll define in a minute, is to remove the seeming attraction of the
Mm-hmm.
United Kingdom as a destination to asylum applicants. So, an asylum applicant in a particular country in the world may look at places like the United Kingdom as safe, attractive, good economy, good standard of life. Why can I or why can he or she not try to come here because of what's happening to him or her wherever he or she is? Now, what the government has tried to do is to designate certain countries as safe third states. And one of those countries is an African country, Rwanda. And I know that in the last few years, we follow global happenings. We are told that Rwanda has become developed, is developing, at a very um, awesome rate, and kudos to them for that. But the thinking of an asylum applicant is not that he or she should be taken to Rwanda, is that he or she should be brought to the United Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
So, what the United Kingdom has done is to enter into an agreement with countries such as Rwanda to say asylum applicants X will apply to come to the United Kingdom so that he or she will be safe, and his or her life and limb will be guaranteed um, as provided under the UN Charter, under the Geneva Conventions, etc. And Rwanda, you take asylum applicant X into your country, you take X pounds and be looking after asylum applicant X while his or her own asylum application is being considered.
Mm.
Should that application be considered and should it be positive, then we can talk about bringing applicants X to the United Kingdom. But should that application not be positive, then we will talk about returning um, the applicant to the country where he or she is from. So I think the thought process of the government adopting that approach is that eventually you will find out that the United Kingdom will become less attractive
Mm-hmm.
for people who want to claim asylum. That's the hope, anyway. It's yet to be seen. It's still very early days. The law just started, just came out, and it's just starting to come into force. But it's still early days. But that is the reasoning behind it. And again, this was very, very heated. It was sort of it narrowly passed through Parliament, but as we speak, it is law, and that is now part and parcel of the UK law. So again, another topic I'd like us to speak about is the issue of unaccompanied children.
Yeah.
So what has happened is that, first of all, due to Brexit, secondly, due to the wars and upheavals that are happening in different parts of the globe, there are situations where parents not being able to leave um, the particular location, um, try to get their children away. I mean, easy instances that come to mind is Afghanistan, when the Taliban overrun Afghanistan. You saw one saw moving images of parents holding up their children to US forces, allied forces, to put on a plane or just to take away from the scene, while the parents themselves were not able to physically get away. Another instance is the war in Ukraine. There are instances where a parent may not be able to get away. So the new bit about unaccompanied children is that as long as an unaccompanied child has a family member in the UK,
Mhm.
that unaccompanied child anywhere from Europe can enter the United Kingdom for the purpose of seeking asylum. And this is a very laudable provision, because the underpinning theory, or one of the underpinning theories of UK immigration law, is the rights of the children. And you hear immigration lawyers talk about the interests of the child. And I think this will go a long way in helping parents who are trapped in whatever situation to get their child or children out of that situation and into the UK. And such a child, with that opportunity, can at some point invite parents or relatives to join his or herself as well. So what I would also like to talk about is the issue of slavery and trafficking. And this has been the subject of, I think, a number of movies, and I think it's an established fact that there are traffickers, human traffickers from one part of the world to other parts of the world, such as the United Kingdom. And in the past few years, the United Kingdom has waged a number of prosecutions against perceived traffickers. They've taken them to court, and in many times they've been able to win victories against them, where it has led to such traffickers forfeiting ill-gotten gains and wealth back to the United Kingdom. Now, being originally from Africa myself, Nigeria specifically, I know that part of the way traffickers are able to get a hold on those they traffic is through the use of oath taking. And in some parts of Africa, they go and make these individuals take certain oaths not to betray the trafficker, not to call out the trafficker before he or she travels. And that's why you find that when such a person is able to leave Africa and come into the United Kingdom, you find out that most of the time the traffickers are still protected because they are still not known. I mean, the authorities will be asking those trafficked, who brought you here? How did you get here? And that person will remain scared. I also know that some of the prosecutions has removed that fear from some of those traffic because they are able to now, with confidence, um, give details of who trafficked them because it has been found out that a lot of these oaths are what I'll call them psychological affairs, are not necessarily grounded in fact. So, but coming back to the how it affects trafficking, victims of slavery and trafficking, the situation now is that there is assistance and support for victims of trafficking for the first 12 months upon their arrival in the United Kingdom. Again, this is a positive because what would happen where most of these people will be trafficked will be immediately they get into the United Kingdom, their identity documents will be taken from them. They will be put into certain classes of labor or work, and they will be exploited basically by those trafficking them. But what the United Kingdom has done with this um, latest amendment is that if you find yourself a victim of trafficking, be rest assured that as long as you enter the shores of the United Kingdom, for the first 12 months, you will be supported. And when government says they'll support you, it will support you with sustenance, with accommodation, etc. So that's a motivation for the person trafficked to help bust the ring of trafficking. And so I think that's a very good development.
Yes, Adams, if we can just go back a little bit concerning the asylum seekers. My worry is, I mean, those who've actually put the applications in for many years,
Yeah.
will they still be in that category to be deported to what's the place called Rwanda, or it's just a recent uh, asylum seeker? So it's just anybody in that category because
Yeah,
we've got a lot of people that have been here for
mm.
10 years on that route. So what happens to such people? Are they all going to be deported, or what is going to become of their fate?
It's a very good question, and I wish I had the right answer, or I wish I had an answer. But to my thinking, I would assume that the new um, amendments to the immigration rules talking about safe third states, as they call it, e.g., for example, Rwanda, should be for, this is my assumption, should be for those who are putting in fresh asylum claims. I because it's still early days as immigration lawyers, we don't really have the cases yet to sort of compare what it was before and what it is now. But that, to my thinking, I would assume that that's ought to be the approach of the Home Office for fresh asylum seekers to be looked at being moved to safe third states. However, there is nothing before me to say that that may not be applied to an existing asylum application. I don't really know how the Home Office wants to implement that, but I would think administratively it should apply to fresh applications. But I don't know whether that's going to be the approach the Home Office is going to take.
Okay, so how do, I mean, you being a solicitor and you are in courts, like most of the times,
Yeah.
how do you um, know whether maybe this asylum seeker's application is truthfully valid or not. What are some of the things that they seek for? Because one would have expected that if somebody is running away from danger and
Yeah.
then finally lands here, they would get some comfort, and then to be taken back to Rwanda. That's
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
that's a bit disturbing. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's
Well,
too brutal. Yeah.
yeah, it is, and I think there has been a huge furor, and an outcry against this because the very issue of asylum means taking the applicant away
Yeah.
from where he or she is troubled
Mm-hmm.
or harassed or threatened to somewhere where he or she is not. I suppose if you argue, the United Kingdom may tell you that Rwanda, there's no harassment there, that there's nobody troubling anybody there. There can be that argument. But the very rationale of an applicant making an asylum application is to leave or be assisted to leave his or immediate environment and to be assisted or supported to a safe haven, such as the United Kingdom and indeed all the other countries that are signatories to the UN Geneva conventions. And I think we touched on something key there. Um, in applying for asylum, there are key things the caseworker is looking at. The caseworker is looking at, because at the end of the day, we call them as immigration lawyers, we call them accounts, can be alternative accounts. So this is what I mean. Someone from, I don't want to mention names of countries now, someone from a certain country may claim that he or she is being harassed in that country. And the asylum caseworker will be looking at what you have to back up your claim. Are there, for instance, um, is there knowledge in the public domain, newspapers, news articles? Um, is there something that can buttress what that applicant is saying is happening to him or her? So, I suppose from the viewpoint of the caseworker, anybody, I can, for instance, say I'm being harassed, but as they say in law, it's not really what it is what you can prove. And I know I've been to court a number of times, and we've had to prove certain things that we've said. So for the asylum applicant, what should be in his or her mind is that there needs to be proof, irrefutable proof, that what you are saying is happening is actually happening to you. There are, for instance, different issues that may not require that body of proof. So here I'll mention a very, very topical one. Ukraine, the war in Ukraine. Everybody knows that there's a war in Ukraine. Russia has invaded Ukraine. It's going on now for 3+ months and it's still carrying on. So if any, and because of that, the Home Office has a dedicated set of lines, phone lines, to help people process applications to come to the UK from Ukraine. And it has specific applications in that regard. So if, for instance, you say now that you are from Ukraine and that you want to seek asylum in the UK, there's a strong possibility, subject to certain requirements, there is strong possibility that you will be granted because that is in the public domain. So, but where you are from, a country that is not in that situation, where you are from, a location that is not facing um, war or threat to war, you must now prove as an asylum applicant that whatever you are saying is happening to you or you are scared will happen to you will actually happen to you. So you are not just scared that, for instance, a foreign government is against people of your tribe, but you are scared that you, Mr. ABC, will be harmed by that foreign government, and you have to supply some specific information and materials in that regard. So the key or what to take from this is that anybody who wishes to apply for asylum must get his or her narrative and must get the reason for the application very straight. It's not just what's happening around the applicant, it must be tied to the applicant. It must affect him or her specifically. And I think this is part of, not just I think, this I know from experience and practice, this is part of what we do at Aequus Solicitors as well. So I don't know if that answers your question, Nana.
But then, I still have more concerns. Uh,
Okay.
you know, being a family lawyer, I
Yeah.
know, like you've had several instances where women or even men come to you for, like, with issues on domestic abuse.
Yeah.
But sometimes their documentation is such that maybe the woman or maybe the man is not in right standing in terms of the law.
Hmm.
So sometimes, like with this asylum seeking thing, I'm a bit, worried about it, especially now that people are being, taken back to
Yeah.
Rwanda.
Yeah.
My concern is we have a lot of women being
Hmm.
accused,
Hmm.
but then now they are so scared to come forward because sometimes their documentation might not be right.
Hmm.
So instead of maybe coming forward,
Hmm.
to report such um, acts, to get help.
Yeah.
Now I am feeling or thinking that such women might not be able to come out. I mean, for fear of being deported,
Hmm.
to Rwanda. I mean, if that is not the case, maybe you can explain to us as to how such men or such women who find themselves in such situations can seek help, but
Yeah.
not be deported.
Yeah. Yes. I think it's a very good question. And now, prior to these current immigration rules, what the Home Office did was this, because when we said earlier on, the Home Office tries to, at least this is what we've seen, tries to adapt or react to changes in society. And in the past few years, the pandemic and even before as well, there has been a rise in incidences of domestic violence and domestic abuse in relationships. And because these issues are in the society, it does not. There is no target participant. What I mean is that if someone is suffering from domestic abuse or allegations of domestic violence, it's not targeted just at people with documentation. It can happen to anybody. And I think, and what the Home Office has done is, even before now, to provide some form of succor for those who have challenges in that angle. And if you are suffering domestic violence, or you are a victim of domestic violence, and it affects your immigration situation, there is an exemption. There's an exemption right now where if you apply under, I don't want to call it, I don't want to call it domestic violence route, because that would be a wrong tag. But if you apply under a certain route in the immigration rules, and you can prove that there has been domestic violence against you, you will be on a straight path towards um, indefinite leave to remain and eventually um, British citizenship. And interestingly, you will not be required to pay anything. because there's a waiver in such situations. But you do need to prove that these things are happening, because I've had situations where people came in with suppositions but were not able to prove same. But I've also had situations where people were able to prove same, and we were able to get them exemptions or waivers on that route to get a number of years in the UK, get indefinite leave to remain, and eventually become British citizens. So the Home Office has been proactive, if you ask me, in that regard. So nobody should suffer um, immigration
So,
wise or status wise if he or she finds him or herself in such a situation. So I think that's a good thing, and then this is one of the melting pots between family and immigration law, and I count myself, fortunate and privileged to be able to see these two different fields and do different things for mainly the same persons achieving different results, but at the end of the day, making sure that they get the object that they desire.
wow. Please, if anyone is watching us and needs any immigration help, we have Mr. Adams-Aliu's number rolling on the screen. Please take it. His address, his number, his email address, everything. So kindly take this and please contact him if you need any help in terms of family or immigration issues. He'll be more than welcome to help you. So it's Aequus Solicitors, 26 Waterloo Road, Wolverhampton, WV14, sorry, 1, WV1 4BL. Yeah, and the email address is there, and also his contact number. Mr. Adams, I've got a lot of comments for you. I know you can read from your screen, but I think
Yeah,
there's a question that I want, for the sake of other people listening.
yeah.
Winnie Chebet saying that I have a young man who is in Cameroon but was born in London in 1996. Unfortunately, he is in a war-torn Cameroon. Is he able to return to UK? How can you help, please?
Okay,
His parents were not UK citizens when he
okay.
was born. So I think I don't know whether maybe you want her to contact you privately or you want to answer this question openly. Yeah.
A bit of both, Nana. I'll just touch on the question.
Okay.
I'll touch on the question, but I'll be grateful if she also drops me an email.
Okay.
So the question raises two what I would like to believe to be two legs or two limbs. Young man was born in '96. Just for the viewers, those who were born after 1983 in the United Kingdom are not automatic British citizens. Before '83, pre-Thatcher, that was the case as in America and Canada now. But post '83, those born here were no longer given the automatic British passport. So the young man was born in '96, so he's obviously not a British citizen. Now, but he has a British birth certificate because he was born here. Now he's in war-torn Cameroon, and I know a lot about this because a number of my wins in the immigration tribunal have to do with that region, and I know about the French and English situation and the war in Cameroon. And on a premium facie basis, I say this because I have not had sight of the young man's peculiar situation. On a premium facie basis, there's no reason why he cannot apply for asylum from Cameroon as long as the right documentation is provided, as long as the right narrative is pictured. There's no reason why he cannot apply for and be granted asylum from Cameroon. Like I said, I have a lot of experience in this Cameroon, this Anglophone, Francophone issue that it carries on even and I have a lot of experience at the immigration tribunal in this regard. So prima facie, that means without having sight of any specific documentation, there's no reason why he cannot succeed in such an application. But I'll be grateful to the sender of that message to drop me an email, text message, WhatsApp message with specifics because each case differs one from the other. So I'm interested in finding out the exact situation with that young man so that we'll know our best to support him. Thank you.
Okay, so Winnie, if you're watching us, Mr. Adams wants you to send him a private email or maybe a WhatsApp message so that you can take it from there. I have a lot of comments coming in. Of course, Linus Bona John Baden says this is great, and can I get the video clip? Yes, Mr. Linus. I'm going to ask Mr. Adams to forward you. The whole clip is available now, even on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, yes, you can watch us live there. And of course, sorry, I can't even pronounce the name. Will, sorry, I mean, if you can pronounce it, Adams-Aliu, saying it's quite enlightening. And I've got her as well saying very educative. And I've got Adelaide Hagen all the way from Aequus saying very informative. And I've got Abna Teacher also in Bradford here saying this is so educative and beneficial. Thanks, Nana and lawyer. And I've got Adams-Aliu from Ewia says interesting. How do you pronounce that name, please?
Which one? Is it Adams-Aliu?
No, it's I
will Adams-Aliu.
Okay, okay. So yeah, I got it right. Yeah. So please send in your questions, send in your concerns, and Mr. Adams will actually help you on this one. Or if you don't want to be seen publicly, you can take his number and also all his details that is being shown here. Please take his details and contact him, and then I know he'll be more than welcome, to help you. Yeah. Oh, he goes on, and that's my elder brother, I think. Yeah. Thank you so much for supporting your big brother. Yeah. So, Ms. Adams, at what point can we get into the case and think, oh, you think that is really not for us at the moment, or you think you've touched on all the immigration issues, at this point in time?
Sorry, Nana, you said at what point can we get into
the specific in terms of the case thing, and law, this year's and laws that was actually passed.
Yeah.
I think I saw something on the high potential individual,
yeah.
the second, the graduate trainee route, the senior specialist route, and also the UK expansion worker route. Unless maybe that one is not for us at the moment.
Yes, I think that what we'll do is that you and I will discuss and we'll sort of schedule another.
That's fine. That's
because, like I said, there are so many. If we were to talk about the new rules, it will probably take weeks because they pack in so much. Today's focus has been on asylum.
Yes.
And citizenship. There's also the work route.
Yes.
There's also the student route.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Brexit happened, and they want certain more people to be able to come here. There are so many angles really to look at it. So I suggest today may not be for that. If
I mean that's fine.
Another time.
Another time, yeah.
Because I know people are interested in diverse aspects, but if we dedicate another time for that, I think you will do justice.
Wonderful. Because of the how wide or how broad this immigration issue is, I think we might have to end today's discussion. But I think we've all learned a lot. Yes. And I would urge each and everyone to share this information because just like I said earlier on, before then, once you became a British citizen, you thought maybe, that was the end of your wahala. But today we've been actually told that the book, that rights, that privilege can now be taken of you at any time, and you can't argue this in the courts.
Mm.
And I would just urge each and everyone to be very, very careful in your dealings, the kind of things that you watch, your comments, things that you pass on social media. Everything now is counting against us. So be vigilant in your dealings. Be very, very cautious.
Yeah.
Because apart from this, terror thing, there are other things that they might not even give you the reasons why maybe they have revoked your citizenship. So I would just urge each and everyone to be very, very careful. The way we even actually treat our children, because now a time will come, I don't know yet, but maybe it's heading actually towards that direction, that even if your child should actually even report you, I mean, who knows? It can be anything. So please be careful. Be careful, and let us all be informed. Let us all be informed of this new groups. On that note, Mr. Adams, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I know, people have listened, people have been educated, and people have been enlightened. So please kindly take this number again. It's 0190296 960. Sorry. My sight is really getting so bad. I don't know. I'm still wearing my glasses, but I still can't read well. Sorry. It's 0190.
Should I help you read it out now?
Please. My
So
sight is
yes, I know it's those of us who wear glasses. We have that. So it's 01902
yeah.
906 737. Now, for those calling from outside the United Kingdom, just remove the first zero and add +44.
Okay.
That'll get you across to
and it's Aequus Solicitors, 26 Wolverhampton Road. No, sorry, Waterloo Road, Wolverhampton.
indeed.
WB1 4BL.
Yeah, and important.
Sorry,
Nana, to cut it. Importantly, you can also reach us by email.
Email.
At info. If people find that more convenient and sort of anonymous these days.
Okay.
info@aequusolicitors.co.uk to help you. If you just put Aequus Solicitors on your Google bar, you should be able to reach us.
Wow. Oh yes, I've got Winnie saying 01902606 Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Adams. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And you'll be here again to educate us on further immigration topics. So thank you, and thanks everyone for your company. And please continue to share this video to help each and everyone on this immigration issue. On that note, thank you, and continue to enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.